So I watched Total Drama Action again. Watch out, world, you're about to be shaken.
So, the year was 2009. I passed 6th grade with one of the fakest groups of people I've ever seen. Pitbull began being a thing for some reason. Although popular music was one of the best things ever, Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time! And back in these days, TikTok was seen as a song sang by a promiscuous girl. Yeah, I don't have any sort of intro to convey this one, so lights, total drama, action.
So, I rewatched Total Drama Action, and I never realized the many problems that this season has. When I was younger, the excitement of me coming home, having a snack after school, and putting on Total Drama Action kinda kept me from seeing the glaring faults this season has. After watching it as an adult, I can't believe how much of a mess this season is. So buckle up, because this is gonna be a long one. And just as a disclaimer, I don't hate this season. I actually like it. But I'm saying it right now because what you are about to hear is gonna sound like I completely despise this season, and that's not really what I'm going for. Because I can actively find good things with Total Drama Action, and I will list them later down the line. We'll save the good stuff for later, but for now I just need to get this out of the way first.
Part 1. Some background. On July 8 of 2007, the world was introduced to a new format of cartoon known as Total Drama Island, bringing a new fresh concept by portraying the many teen cliches present in society and seeing what forms of interactions they could make work. The format turned out to be an incredible success, being praised by critics as well as being nominated for a Gemini Award. So with this success, a demand for a second season quickly followed, and on January 2009, the world came to know Total Drama Action, a season that did away with almost half of the cast that the previous season had, while bringing back some contestants that had less camera time to make them stand out a little more.
So you might think that in the midst of all these decisions that the creators of Total Drama Action would take risks, go all out or go home. But nope, the creators are completely coasted by the success of Total Drama Island.
Understandably so, with a huge number of character redesigns they had to make that weren't even polished enough by the time they put out the original product. But the amount of safe play that Total Drama Action has led to a huge number of problems in the final product. Part 2. The bad.
Now before I get to the good things, there needs to be some context as to why I think this season is mediocre. It's only fair to the many people that might defend this season as to why I believe that this is a badly constructed season.
Okay, so there are two big issues regarding Total Drama Action: the pacing and story, and the characters. Number 1. Pacing and story. The way I see it, with Total Drama Action being crammed between two of the best seasons of the series, makes it seem like the community offers it some sort of amnesty. Since it has 26 episodes, it can only be good. Well, the way I can compare my thoughts on Total Drama Action is as if you compare Total Drama All-Stars as a small room filled with clutter. The room resembles the number of episodes, while the clutter resembles the content. If you remove the clutter from that room and place it in a much wider room, the room doesn't seem that cluttered now, does it? That is the feeling I get with Action. It did some pretty messed up stuff, perhaps at the same level of All-Stars, but since it has more time and space to compensate, it looks slightly better when you look back into it. But make no mistake, there is a lot of that Total Drama Action makes. So to make sure that we are all on the same page with Total Drama Action, it is important to analyze what the season as a whole was and go by its blunders piece by piece, shall we? Normally I wouldn't do this because I find that when we talk about a season this old, we need to fully understand what the season actually is. So ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you the quickest view of Total Drama Action ever.
The cast arrived in the abandoned film lot and are introduced to the general facilities. Jeff and Bridget spend most of the episode kissing, and the challenge starts. Owen wins by the default and eats a bunch of junk. And there is a whole argument between which girl gets which bed, only for them to never sleep on the same bed for the rest of the season. The next challenge, Jeff and Bridget are constantly kissing, and Duncan is just constantly on top of Trent and Gwen. In the third episode, we finally get to see the teams, the grips lose just because of Jeff, and the sexual tension between Gwen and Duncan just increase. The next episode opens up in the same boring fashion that the past two episodes have been doing. Nobody besides Justin does anything to be interesting, and the episode is over. Episode 5 has the same problems with the previous episode, but they are even bigger. Then an aftermath happens just because was, Gwen spends the whole episode trying to rig her team, although there is absolutely nothing for her to lose. A reward challenge that produces COVID-19 happens that kills Lashana completely. Lindsay establishes herself as one of the best characters of the season, and the alliance between DJ and Chef is broken. Following that, the people discover that Lashana was lying, and Owen breaks his jaw, only for the writers to make jokes about being constipated. Then an aftermath happens, Courtney returns because Justin was being a terrible season villain. The writers find that the power of Courtney's lawyers is the only way to eliminate Owen. Then a reward challenge comes around with zero impact other than giving Heather a wig. The writers just remember to hit on Lashana for no reason again. Another reward challenge happens for nothing to happen in it. Then they just wrongfully mistry Harold for the sake of eliminating Lashana. And another aftermath happens again. Courtney wins another challenge just because she wasn't in a dress. Lindsay just keeps on establishing herself as the season protagonist, only for her to be eliminated in the lamest fashion ever. Then the spotlight is shifted to Harold, only for him to be eliminated in the lamest fashion ever, because Owen just came back for no apparent reason. And Courtney is eliminated, and Beth and Duncan are left with none of them being worthy winners.
So, if you didn't fully understand what exactly I meant to say, let me give you some writing classes that might explain to you why I believe this season is bad paced. The basic line of narrative is usually composed in 3 parts: the introduction, the development, and the conclusion. The basic line is something that you can perfectly see in Total Drama Island. For example, the introduction is used to introduce to us the basic components that will lead to the eventual next step. The development triggers the roles of each character, allowing their colors to truly show and what they can do. And the conclusion that happens when the antagonist has been eliminated, leaving us with who is the winner at the very last episode, really. I believe that this is the basic kind of narrative that leaves you with a satisfying beginning, middle, and end, and it makes you feel like you didn't waste your time. It also depends on the quality of content you cram into this narrative, so you can end up with a basic and somewhat satisfying narrative. Total Drama All-Stars, although not a good season on account of its bad content, does follow this line of narrative, but because its content is utter rubbish, it just flops, even though it had a straightforward line of narrative. Jesus, I'm complimenting All-Stars. What the hell is wrong with me? So when you look at this model, you can see that the problem with the narrative of Total Drama Action lies in this one simple thing. They messed all this up. The introduction sets up the cast, the time, the space, and many other characteristics within the Total Drama universe. That they do. The first part of Total Drama Action, which consists of the first 3 or 4 episodes, are actually satisfying. We lose Bridget, Jeff, E-Scope, 3 characters that were clearly just filler, and we even start seeing who is exactly gonna be the main antagonist this season. To put it bluntly, the development and the main derailment with the story start when Gwen breaks up with Trent. Not only this relation was treated very poorly, it gave birth to a bigger problem with the characters that I will get to in a second. As for the poor pacing, it is to be noted how the season just absolutely drags on. This can be attributed to reward challenges that completely add nothing new to the narrative, and when they do add something new, it is only to derail a character even further. And aftermaths, that aside from the last one, are completely pointless because nothing happens to add on to the narrative as well. And perhaps if you really want to look into it, maybe the third one justifies why Owen came back later on this season, but that one is a real stretch. But getting back to the reward challenge, almost none of them have a reason to exist. Beach Blanket Bogus is just a simple episode where nothing happens besides Justin flirting with Beth, and we see that he might be the villain? One Flew Over the Cuckoo serves to completely kill Lashana. Masters of Disasters is just an episode that only now is connecting with Lashana's attitude in the previous reward challenge, and we see Owen break his jaw so that the creators could make jokes about being constipated. Then the following reward challenges give us a total of nothing either, except that one with the detective movies that gives some massive character development to Lindsay. And the last one that includes Harold emancipating himself against Duncan. The result of this is that you can cut out Total Drama Action in half and you will be losing a total of nothing. On top of this, there is the poor writing within episodes that are supposed to matter. Since the elimination of Trent and Gwen, this season is just all over the place. There are episodes that practically nothing groundbreaking happens, and this is attributed to the fact that this season's antagonists completely failed to be full-on antagonists. But more on that later. The consequences of this inconsistency result in Total Drama Action failing to look like this. Instead, it ends up looking like this. There are so many promising things happening on the first part, but none of these things transition along to the second part. The result is that it feels like the narrative this season ends up looking like the "remember that time when you did that" kind of storytelling, meaning that you can skip this whole season without any sort of consequence. In fact, aside from the relationship with Duncan and Gwen that perhaps led to the creation of the love triangle that was such a climax in season 3, nothing actually happens this season that can justify you watching it. But you know, I might be exaggerating. There is work put into this. It's just a shame that artistically the work is there, but in a narrative sense the work is absent. Now, before you start throwing bricks through my window, I have to mention the reunion special, because a lot of problems are patched in this special. It introduces the new characters of season 3, it lays the foundation to what that season would be, we get to see what happened to Beth's money if your country followed Beth as the official winner, we even get to see the tension between Duncan, Gwen, and Courtney arise. But this was made way after Total Drama Action ended. It fixed up some errors that Action might have had, but it more closely resembles Total Drama World Tour than Action. It's like it was made specifically to address the issues that Total Drama Action made. So there are problems with Total Drama Action in regards with pacing and story, but what about the characters? Number 2. The characters.
So even though I said that the introduction of Total Drama Action is passable, even it ends up being dragged down by the terrible development that this season had.
This is a consequence of the characters having no consistency as to who they want to be. The first part of the narrative of Total Drama Action seems to be establishing Justin as the villain and Trent and Gwen as the main characters. But once Trent and Gwen are eliminated, Justin just stops doing anything relevant besides eliminating Izzy, a character that added absolutely nothing when she returned for the second time. The first part dedicates itself so much into these 3 characters, while the second part dedicates itself so much to Lindsay, Harold, Courtney, and Lashana, only for the characters that the season has been dedicating itself to so much not have any sort of role in the conclusion. This is a massive problem with Total Drama Action. A lot of the events happen during the development, but none of them involve any of the characters that reach the conclusion. None of the finalists seem to have been deserving of their placing in the conclusion of Total Drama Action, because their actions have been completely underwhelming for the past 25 episodes. Let's start with Duncan. Now, deny it how much you want to, and call me a Duncan hater, but I say this with a critical opinion, and all my pet peeves with Duncan were set aside when I say what I'm about to say. But it is my opinion that Duncan should have been eliminated way earlier this season. He may have started strongly in the first part of the season, winning a lot of challenges, but by the time we reached the middle of the development, which is about when Courtney came back, Duncan was just more of a side character that bullied the others. He didn't really partake in challenges, he was always kinda grumpy, and the writers found lame ways to keep him there just by overriding Harold's character and making a simple pathetic misclick. This is the reason why I think Duncan is not a worthy finalist, especially when you see how much hype another character this season was getting. To me, Harold would have fit the finalist spot way better when you look back into his actions. He took part in challenges, he took a pounding from his love interest, he stood up to Duncan, he punched Duncan and showed that it's okay to stand up to your bully, and it seemed to me that Harold was being written as one of the finalists this season, and just at the end I just decided to eliminate him. So that is Duncan out of the way, but what about Beth? Is she a worthy winner? Well, in the same way that Harold was being written as one of the finalists, it seemed to me that Beth did not seem to be a rightful female finalist. What do I mean by this? Well, as I have established, Total Drama Action was built in a very similar way as Total Drama Island. Gwen, one of the protagonists in this season, showed a lot of character development from the first till the last episode. In her stay, she learned to break out of her shell, to stand up to the bully, among other things. In here, I cannot see Beth fulfilling this same kind of role. If I had to compare Beth's character to someone from Total Drama Island, I would have to say that she more or less resembles Jet, a character that just exists, doesn't start any sort of conflict with anyone, and is just an okay person. If I had to give Beth any sort of praise for her role this season, I would have to give her for being one of the few Killer Grip members that did well in challenges, and even kicking Heather's butt more than once. When the spotlight finally shifts to Beth, is for her to gush about her boyfriend and even forget about him in the same episode and develop a childish crush on Harold. Those are the only things she does when she assumes the main role, a role she started assuming right after a certain character was eliminated. Don't get me wrong, I found both times when Beth took down Heather to help her team pretty cool moments, but Beth all season through seemed more like a supportive character more than anything. And people wonder why she didn't make it in Total Drama World Tour and All-Stars. Her character is somewhat uninteresting, people, wake up! But there is a character in action that feels a lot more fleshed out and resembles more or less the role that Gwen had in Island. Lindsay. This whole season saw her breaking out of her shell, taking charge for the team when the team needed it the most, win challenges, even standing up to her bully Courtney. Both Harold and Lindsay made impressive things this season that could perfectly justify them being finalists, and the writing of this season was foreshadowing them as such. Up until episode 21, Rock and Rule, and the return of Owen. To me, it seemed like they had a plan for Lindsay and Harold at first, and all of a sudden they decided that they needed to be eliminated and thought, Owen, yeah, we haven't used Owen in a while. And don't use that argument that ratings were dropping because of a lack of Owen. This is a cartoon show, they don't make a new episode each week. This was planned. Perhaps this writing was a little rushed, but to me it seemed that from this episode on, the season just feels rushed and contrived. I mean, it feels like more than a coincidence that as soon as Owen came back, he was directly responsible for Lindsay and Harold's eliminations. That contrived plot of him voting for Courtney when she had immunity, but when she finally was up for votes, there is no point in voting for her, has never sat well with me. The end result of this ends up making the top 4 of this season being composed by half of the same characters that were the top 4 last time. So that takes care of the protagonists this season. But how about the antagonists? It is my opinion that Justin and Courtney have to be the lamest villains in this show. Justin is not a smart person, even when he is doing the role of villain. The only 2 villainous things he did this season were expose Trent and Gwen and then eliminate Easy. And even one of those things were poorly treated. What exactly was the consequence if Gwen didn't throw the challenge for the team? Was Justin gonna tell the gaffers that Trent was throwing the challenges? That's a massive plot hole there. And perhaps upon seeing how Justin was being a horrible villain, the writers just decided to write in Courtney to help the Grips win some challenges and start wreaking havoc on everyone through the force of her lawyers and massive complaints. Tying back to that argument that the cast of Total Drama Action does not know what it wants to be. This inconsistency is the main reason why Total Drama Action feels like a season that drags on. They spend most of the episodes trying to establish who is exactly going to be the protagonist and the antagonist, only for them to keep on cutting off characters. And by the time they do decide on who is the characters they want to be, only Beth and Duncan are left, a supporting character and an anti-hero. So, it's not rewarding to watch this show because none of the actions that an episode makes this season end up connecting with the following episode. So it stands the reason that this inconsistency with the characters is what pejorates the pacing and story, which leads Total Drama Action to be a very, very poor season. It's as if Total Drama Action is like a bunch of clutter with Celebrity Manhunt wrapping it up in a pretty paper and a ribbon. It is pretty on the outside, but when you open it up, it's completely pointless and cluttered.
I could keep going. There are a lot of things left for me to talk about, like Lashauna's terrible character development and DJ and Chef's alliance. But at this point I've lobbied so many problems with this season that even I need to take a break. For all its flaws, Total Drama Action does have good things to it. And if you stuck with that video up until this point, you're probably more curious to know what they are. So what exactly are the good things that even me, the dramatically scarring critic, has to give? Let's find out.
Part 3. The Good.
It took me some time to appreciate this, but in spite the fact that Total Drama Action is a mess of bad decisions, it doesn't seem like it ended up that way through a lack of effort, unlike some other seasons of Total Drama. Whatever flaws it might have had, I cannot say it's lacking content, and its content definitely holds up 12 years after its debut.
So what is good with Total Drama Action? Well, for one, my favorite scene in the entire series is from episode 2008 Space Owen. I've talked about it in the past, so make sure to check it out. The comedy is also not bad and it delivers in many places, which the more recent Total Drama seasons don't. For what it's worth, 2009 was a year where comedy gold on the internet was something along the lines of
Star you! Star you! Star you!
So for what we were used to consume back in those days, Total Drama Action had some very solid comedy. And artistically, the show has a lot of detail. I mean, look at this frame. You can see that this is supposed to look like an alley, but upon further inspection, it is actually a wall. It goes to show that artistically, the show did deliver and had to do so many new backgrounds for the season. Total Drama Action might have some glaring problems in narrative senses, but it kinda makes up for it for having quality jokes, passable content, and great artistic backgrounds. I don't know very well what to say what Total Drama Action has done better, but in spite of all the bad things I've said, I would still watch Total Drama Action instead of All Stars and Paquito, because even though there is a very big disconnection within episodes, at least they don't make weird choices that completely kill a person inside. Well, at least not so actively. If their success was enough to push the channel to demand a third season, then at least they did something right. And even though I've never admitted it, the reality is, if Total Drama Action hadn't had so many problems with the reward challenges and the aftermaths, then we would have never had such a good season that we had with Season 3. With aftermaths that left an impact on the game and the cast, as well as not having an exact episode to place the reward challenges.
So yeah, my review of Total Drama Action is 4 out of 10. Not terrible, but not too good. In fact, maybe not good at all.